Digipenong chapter donates much-needed protective supplies to a hospital in need in Kedah. An art teacher instructs parents about how to keep their children active and entertained during lockdown. I'm Sean Scanlon. This is DI Headlines. Let's get started. In Malaysia, as the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases continues to increase, the Sultan Abdul Halim Hospital in Kedah is facing a shortage of medical protection supplies. Digi chapter in Penang donated protective equipment. Take a look.
Because Kuala Muda is a quite huge area, and we have to cater for a lot of patients which is positive COVID. So in that view, our PPE usage increased very drastically. But the second wave was too huge that the stock for 1 year also couldn't be sufficient for us. In view, our last week's stock was just for a few days.
A message from hospital staff explained that the hospital is facing a shortage of supplies. After receiving the news, Digi volunteers immediately delivered the supplies needed.
After communicating with the hospital, we knew that the hospital needed supplies in a hurry. We immediately checked our stock of supplies with the Digi chapter in Penang to see how much protective gear they have, and we delivered what we could to them immediately.
This batch of protective equipment includes protective clothing, protective caps, protective shoe covers, N95 masks, and face shields. Although the hospital's demands is far greater than the amount of colony provided by Digi, Digi promised to continue supplementing their supplies.
I am grateful to the Digi Foundation for providing us with this donation.
A very big donation to us, helping us at this hour, because whatever you are giving for us, we are feeling very grateful, thankful for your kindness.
While frontline personnel are working hard to fight the pandemic, all sectors of the society have their backs. Only when they have perfect protection can they provide appropriate treatment to patients.
The pandemic is quite severe in Malaysia, with team of Dr. Tan Lian Sung learning hospital Siri Manjong lacked equipment. He immediately invited two businessmen to purchase needed medical equipment. Team also loaned ultrasound and electrocardiogram to alleviate urgent ICU needs. The Malaysian Perak branch team, along with Digi volunteers, delivered medical equipment to Siri Manjong Hospital. Among the items donated include 3 positive airway pressure machines and 1 ICU patient monitor, which were jointly donated by Tan Lian Sung, a team of volunteers and 2 friends.
Previously, Sri Manjong Hospital did not treat serious cases, as COVID patients were all sent to Ipoh General Hospital. But because the intensive care units of that hospital was full, they were sent here. They care for their own patients by themselves, although they had a place to expand, but they could not buy equipment. My opinion is that if we sent it to their hospital a month earlier, this respirator could be used by a patient who is not so serious, and then it could be used about another patient 3 days later. So if we count it, 1 respirator in a month, if rotated every 3 days, could save the life of 10 people. So we can assist them and use instruments to assist and take care of patients this way. If we can do it this way, this will give them peace of mind in their work, and they will not be afraid of spreading the disease to themselves and their family members. If they had enough equipment, they don't have to think too much about who they want to save. This is because there is enough medical equipment and everyone can be saved. I think it's the best way for us to go forward.
Under the current movement control orders, team of free clinic activities must also be temporarily suspended. This led everyone to agree to lend ultrasound equipment and electrocardiographs to Siri Manjong Hospital.
I am very grateful to Digi for helping us when the number of patients is increasing. After all, we will face problems with equipment shortages. So helping our hospital during this time, I hope we have enough equipment to help as many patients as possible.
To help senior citizens in rural areas get vaccinations, Kaohsiung's frontline healthcare workers went to their home as opposed to waiting for seniors to come to the hospital. As the weather was unstable recently, workers were drenched in both rain, water, and sweat.
Medical staff and workers from the local health bureau office don backpacks and head into the mountain regions of Kaohsiung to vaccinate senior citizens. Also, Digi Hospital sent 16 healthcare workers to an orphanage in the mountain area for vaccination.
Because we take care of a lot of children, many are young, and it's difficult for us to head out, as the journey to Kaohsiung City takes about 1 hour easy.
Wearing full body protective gear, the healthcare workers are drenched in rain and sweat, but no word of complaint has been heard. Today they are giving vaccinations to the 5th category of vaccination order, those workers who will come into contact with children.
Due to the rainfall in the mountains, the healthcare workers are wet inside and out of their protective outfit. Many of the staff present were moved by seeing this scene.
The senior citizen is very nervous, and thus the doctor is holding her hand and praying with her before the shot is given. Meanwhile, the senior who is unable to leave her vehicle is getting car side service. Similar to a drive-through, the senior is getting her vaccination in the car. The thoughtfulness of the medical staff during this time really helps to cement the warmth and care in this uncertain time.
In a special ward of Digi Hospital, a confirmed COVID case with drug addiction issues was recently admitted to the hospital because of withdrawal symptoms, hallucinations, and violent tendencies. He damaged his ward, including the doorknob. The medical team uses patience and wisdom to build a sense of trust between the doctor and the patient to avoid further damage and help with healing. In this ward, a confirmed COVID patient paces back and forth, feeling restless. In the next second, he uses brute force to tear off the doorknob of the negative pressure isolation ward.
A drug test did indeed found powerful drugs in his body. The patient does not have a psychiatric illness, but drug addiction has caused some emotional obstacles.
Staff at the hospital worked quickly to repair the doorknob, while others worked to calm the patient's emotions. The COVID patient, Mr. Tsai, had many cuts on his body when he was admitted to the hospital. Violent behavior caused by drug addiction led the head nurse to think of a way to help this addict and stabilize his emotions.
He may think it's weird that the nursing staff here gave him cigarettes but did not think of giving him a lighter. I told him he can't smoke, but maybe this would help improve our communication.
A sense of trust was later established between the doctors and patient, and physical and mental health doctors also joined in auxiliary treatment.
We have to deal with his psychiatric problems as well as other internal medicine-related issues. For psychiatric treatment, we must consider what side effects he will have after the medicine is given. The medicine we gave at the beginning was a little stronger. We will adjust it according to his progress.
Adjusting medication dosage and arranging video chat with his family members has led this patient to relieve his loneliness.
His sister is very grateful for our help because she also works as a nurse in a COVID hospital ward. She feels that taking care of such patients is tiring, so he felt so touched. This care affirmed her commitment to nursing.
Doctors and nurses are using patience and wisdom to calm the heart of this patient. Since Mr. Tsai was admitted to the hospital, his condition has gradually improved. He will continue to receive treatment to put himself in the best health. As a pandemic rages, many need to stay at home. An art teacher teaches parents and children how to spend their time behind closed doors. Take a look.
On this road, there are 2 diagnosed COVID cases.
Tian Yiting, many people call her teacher Tian Tian, now is trying hard to adapt to the pandemic life without leaving home.
What I'm trying very hard to do now is to teach children and adults this through online lessons.
As a well-known illustrator in Taoyuan City, apart from teaching classes, she also organizes solo exhibitions from time to time. At first, she thought her works would be popular, but she didn't expect to encounter the pandemic and everything would be interrupted. At first, she could not get used to it.
They were all just small frames on a monitor, and I had to open my eyes and look closely to see if the kids were keeping up.
When the pandemic came and the illustration class, which was painstakingly managed, had to shut down, everything started from scratch, as written on her Facebook. Fortunately, art has really helped her a lot.
Couldn't I teach illustration lessons through video? My target audience is actually older women and mothers, and they can make a little time like half an hour or an hour to learn to drawing with me. And when I teach them during this period, I am also feeling some relief.
With courses changed to home instruction, learning how to operate software and learning online teaching, all difficult to manage. In addition, children staying at home and schooling, tasks can take their toll on parents, leaving many overwhelmed. Many people are actually suffering from the pandemic. This is quite a familiar snapshot of daily life now.
When you work at home, you have to take care of your children and then you have to deal with work at the same time. Of course, you may have a lot of different emotions. You may even have some worries about catching COVID yourself. Will I be quarantined? Will anything happen?
While the virus is raging outside, many feel a psychological burden inside, and the invisible pressure cooker may be about to explode at any time.
An anxious person may suffer more because they are naturally nervous and worried. They may worry about being infected. For example, I have a case who told me that when the connecting passage of our hospital is closed, he feels very panicked because he worries the pandemic has become even more serious. When strengthening mental health, there are several formulas to remember, such as peace, tranquility, ability, relationship, and hope.
Psychiatrists teach 5 things which are key to mental strength. Feeling safe includes improving psychologically well-being by receiving correct information, being quiet and learning to relax, being able, finding something that you are good and can accomplish to regain control, maintaining contact and not avoiding contact, and staying in touch through the internet or phone. Hope, always keep hope, such as believing the pandemic can be brought under control.
I have seen some cases such as those who are depressed because they can't meet friends to do karaoke, but now they use Google Meet to sing online. This is a way to overcome depression.
Pandemic prevention measures have limited our living space. At first, Tian Yiting was a little disappointed, but she quickly realized that she and her children could not simply give up when being at home, so she made a list of daily activities for her family. In addition to online courses, she arranged for her children to do housework and cooking, as everything is done according to schedule.
It's best to do this part of the class according to the schedule. Maybe it's cooking, as all my kids have to cook their own dishes for 3 meals a day, and then do some housework, folding clothes and so on.
Sure enough, if we busily fill our time, we'll not have time to think negative thoughts.
Now it's morning, and I think about what I have to do. And then it's afternoon, and I think about what I have to do. If I don't know what to do, I may feel it is so boring. I try to limit these thoughts, as parents should try to avoid feeling like they are bored.
In the face of life during this difficult virus, as long as the pandemic does not retreat, years of living in a cocoon may continue, but as long as you don't give up hope, you can enjoy a joyful life at home. The families under the care of Hualien's Taiwan Fund for Children and Families are under a lot of stress due to not being able to work under the Level 3 COVID alert in Taiwan. On top of this, an additional influx of applications for help have occurred. Because of this, Digi Foundation sent 645 care packages to help.
Taiwan Fund for Children and Families in Hualien takes the method of making employment and handing over the daily necessities to those in need.
Because of the pandemic, after the 3rd level of alert started, I stopped working and didn't have money for food. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your foundation's support.
Mrs. Chen couldn't do the small business she was doing originally. She said that the aid materials came at the right time.
It is very much needed. Our life is facing difficulties without any income, but fortunately, there is the foundation to help.
Digi Foundation delivered the relief package to the Hualien TFCF. Each package contains 10 items, including step food, dry food, and a box of face masks.
Our emergency assistance applications have also increased. This time we also took the initiative to ask Digi for help. They also quickly allocated 645 sets to lend us the support.
The children are at home with their family, which means the family's demand for supplies is very much double or more than previous. Two charitable organizations are working together to take care of the disadvantaged families in Hualien.
The children received the supplies and were happy to have the food to eat once more. It is hoped that these supplies can alleviate the urgent needs of the families in need.
After being admitted to a COVID ward, patients have to endure physical discomfort and psychological suffering. For this reason, Hualien Digi Hospital nurses sent birthday blessings and other special care. Take a look.
Singing with smiles, this is the blessing from Hualien Digi Medical Center to a confirmed COVID patient in early June.
Because of the pandemic prevention regulations, there was no way to personally deliver flowers and cakes and warmth to her hands. Our blessings to her are written on the card, and the colleagues in protective clothing will bring them in for her.
After the patient was discharged from the hospital in mid-June, the nurse team followed the Chinese medicine doctor to her home and sent a blessing package.
She was very surprised to say why we are so nice and still remember her. She was actually very happy at that moment. It turns out that our small actions can make the patient feel great warmth.
Interacting with patients through the tablet is the scene that can be seen every day in a dedicated ward. Because the patient is not accompanied by his family, the medical care and daily life are all arranged by the nurse.
During the pandemic, apart from being quarantined, the patient actually has a lot of unspeakable suffering. We hope to provide him with professional knowledge and care, as well as more humanistic concern.
Before entering the isolation ward, the medical team must put on several layers of the protective clothing. The inconvenience and pressure of being a medical staff make them better understand the patient's suffering.
My parents live in Nantou. When the pandemic outbreak, they knew that I was responsible for the dedicated ward. They would call and ask me to be careful. I also keep my parents' warnings in my heart, reminding myself.
The support of the family members allows the dedicated nurses to keep on moving forward and to have the confidence to overcome the virus with the patients.
To thank the medical staff at the Taipei Digi Hospital, the family who experienced a cluster infection wrote a letter of gratitude to the hospital after they were all released and fully recovered 2 weeks later.
Do you remember the story where the 1-year-old child, while waiting to be discharged, had no one to take care of her, and a nurse quickly came to help feed her? The story was liked by over 10,000 people. However, at the time, the family was overcoming some difficult times.
They were
a household cluster from the grandmother to son, daughter, daughter-in-law, and even the grandchildren were tested positive.
This graphic shows all those who tested positive, and as the hospital capacity was limited, those who were under the care of Taipei Digi Hospital were the grandmother, daughter-in-law, and the 2 grandchildren. The grandmother had to be intubated, and the 3-year-old Coco had an ongoing fever for 4 days of over 40 degrees Celsius.
Coco's mom is a foreigner, so her Chinese is not that good and didn't really directly talk to us much.
Coco's father called us on the first day to inquire about his child's condition. We can tell from his tone that he was anxious and emotional because he was quarantined in Taichung. We promised to call him regularly each day to report on the child's condition.
With the family separated in so many places, how will they ever be comforted? Some medical staff decided to give toys to the children to distract from their physical discomforts. while social workers purchased essentials for the family to help ease their stay at the hospital. When the family fully recovered, the hospital received a letter of thanks. In it, they thanked the doctors for their care and their bravery in the face of infection. They also thanked the nurses for their detailed care, as they are really the light in this dark, dangerous time.
We are so happy to see them fully recovered and be discharged from the hospital. Receiving such a big reward from them is such an encouragement for us.
Thanks to everyone's hard work, the family was able to recover fully. This is one of the rewarding aspects of our job. I don't feel I deserve that much credit because those doctors in the severe symptoms ward have it much tougher.
Replying back in such a humble way, the doctor thanks the whole medical staff who helped to tend to the family. Although the pandemic has people scared, there are still moments of happiness within the chaos.
To care for the planet, Digi Indonesia chapter hosted tree planting activities in June. Besides the participation of volunteers, the Center Mosque group also joined in on this eco-friendly activity. Let's take a look.
Safeguarding the planet by taking concrete action. Every year in June to celebrate World Environment Day, the Digi Indonesia chapter will host weeks of tree planting activities.
This large area is the mangrove ecological area, which is close to the ocean. If we can plant vegetation to stabilize the ecosystem, then it will help the soil and us humans. These seedlings don't need to be purchased separately. They can be picked from the mangrove itself and planted.
The mangrove area is very muddy, and the volunteers and the employees of Digi Indonesia came prepared with rain boots. As they walked to their destination, they also picked up trash as they saw it.
Instead of doing nothing at home during the weekend, why not head outdoors and do something meaningful? This isn't that far from the capital. It's good to plant trees and also clean up the mangrove.
Meanwhile, another team which is planting trees is the employees of the Sinar Mass Group. They have been populating the mangrove trees in Tangerang for the past 3 consecutive years.
Each year we come here to plant trees. We planted 10,000 this year. This is the 3rd year we've done this, which means in total we have planted 30,000 mangrove trees. Seeing the saplings from the previous year growing up makes us feel we've done our part for the environment.
We want to leave the generation with blue skies and green fields. This is why it's important to plant trees. We come each year to do this and hope to inspire more people to join us in protecting planet Earth.
The mangrove wetland is an important element in maintaining a balanced ecology. Thus, the planting of mangrove trees helps to attract more people to the wetlands and experience the beauty of nature.
Medical staff are on the front line of pandemic prevention and require medical supplies. Private enterprises have recently pitched in, sending much-needed items to Taipei Gwandu Hospital. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.